This lockdown slaps differently. I can't even lie. Welcome to your Millennial Unfiltered Mother podcast, aka your Mum podcast. I'm your host, Christiana, and I want to talk about my lockdown blues today. I promise it won't be too depressing of an episode, but it's in my heart to talk about it because this lockdown is feeling a lot different to the other 100 lockdowns that we've had over the last year. This one is different. This one feels different for quite a few reasons. With this one, I ain't feeling it. I'm not feeling it one bit. You know, so let's go back. Let's go back a year ago, or almost a year ago now. The first lockdown was shock, horror, what is happening to the world? What's going on? Do you know what I mean? We all sort of thought, okay, this is just for a couple of weeks. And then a couple of weeks dragged on to a few months. And then, you know, then we had that stupid period where everything opened back up because the cases were a little bit lower and stuff like that. And they were forcing us out at this point. You know what I mean? They were forcing us back into the offices, telling us to eat out, to help out, you know what I mean? And, you know, encouraging us to live life again full. And I was saying this with such conviction, you know, like, yeah, man, we're ready to just get back to normal. We're ready to boost the economy again and live our best lives again and travel, da-da-da. Obviously, you know, it didn't take very long for, you know, the cases just to spike back up again. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, we soon realised how stupid that scheme was. It was a stupid scheme. And I work in hospitality, yeah? So I saw firsthand how much people took advantage of that period of time. Do you know what I mean? The place where I work was ram-sacked on the days where the Eat Out to Help Out deal was active. Busy. Do you know what I mean? Too much for the business to handle. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody was out. Of course you're going to go out. Do you know what I mean? Like you're eating at a heavily discounted rate. There were no, at that time, like sort of proper social distancing measures and stuff like that. They were advising it, but loosely. The advice was wishy-washy at best. Eat out, meet up, nah. And it's like, but remain social distancing, wash your hands, it's like, come on. So obviously because of this, they didn't want to shut things down completely and was just like, okay, curfew here. I don't know. I don't even remember when the curfewing actually started to take place. I don't remember if there was like a lockdown again before that whole curfew thing, or if the curfew thing just sort of came about. At this point, I don't remember. But when the curfew stages started to happen, when they said, okay, 10 o'clock is when they need to start closing down, you know, hospitality and stuff like that. I remember saying, okay, I actually understand because, again, working in hospitality, I see that it gets to a certain point at night, okay, when everyone's drunk and social distancing becomes a myth. You know, any kind of feeling that you're in a global pandemic is a myth. Like, you're not thinking about that. You know, it gets to a certain point where people start mixing with other tables and guys start trying to talk to girls start trying to talk to guys, and all this stuff like starts happening once you're all liquored up properly. So I understood the whole 10 o'clock thing, and I was even all for it, to be honest, because I was like, yeah, people are really moving mad. But then, you know, day parties became a lot more popping, you know, a more popular choice for people to just go out earlier. Do you know what I mean? And just enjoy the whole day, just from early, basically. And, you know, they saw that there were basically street parties as well when 10 o'clock hit, everyone just sort of goes to the local supermarket, off license. The prices start hiking up all of a sudden, and then you're just on road. Do you know what I mean? Rampacking the public transport, and it just was obviously something that just was not working. So then, I think the lockdown that I think shocked me the most. I think if we're talking about which lockdown shocked me the most, it was the one that came in November. I didn't see that one coming, and I tend to be quite on top of the news, on top of what's going on top of everything. But I still didn't, for some reason, see that one coming. I think because at that time I was so busy with work that it was hard to sort of understand what was going on. So when that one came, that shocked me the most. A, because that's my birthday month. I was definitely not planning on spending it at home. I had a whole self-care day or self-care weekend planned that I was super excited about. And, that obviously couldn't take place. And I was really annoyed about that. And it just sort of came out of nowhere. I was still working during that month. So, yes, I was working from home, but, it wasn't that bad. So then December comes, and December again is super busy with work. It's all hectic. It's all too much. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm starting to physically feel so tired and so drained. It was messing with me. And we were only open for 10 days. From when we opened back up in December, like early December, it took 10 days before we were put into tier 3 at first. Do you know what I mean? Put into tier 3, which meant closing down of hospitality. And then moved into this whole new made up tier 4, which meant tighter restrictions, closed essential shops and all of that. And then now we're in a full lockdown. So, from tier, I appreciated tier 3 actually because of how stressed I was. I was working pretty much every single day. And, me working weekends was a lot for me and stuff like that. So I appreciated just a little break, but all I needed was that little break. But then tier 4 came and it was like, wait, when is this going to be over? And then national lockdown came and it's like, okay, wow. So from when we were actually put into an actual lockdown, that's when I was like, okay, this is going to go on probably for even longer than the first really long lockdown. So then my motivation just started to dwindle. I noticed that I really wasn't doing much in terms of anything. I wasn't exercising at all. I wasn't doing anything productive. And that's just because I didn't feel to. I didn't want to. I was just in a place where, it was Christmas time, so that sort of took over a lot of my thoughts and stuff like that. Christmas time. I thought, I love Christmas. It's my favourite time of year. So I enjoyed Christmas and that was great. But then since then, I've pretty much been at home. And that's it. I wasn't even supposed to be where I was on Christmas Day, but there was nothing that was going to stop me from enjoying Christmas. Let's just say that. So, but I've pretty much been at home since then. And, I've had some weeks where I'm like, okay, let me just sort of have a plan for every day. let me say to myself, okay, get dressed, like properly dressed, and wear makeup 2 days a week and stuff like that. That never happened. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to. It got to a point, maybe I think from the new year, where I was trying to figure out how to just sort of get out of this funk because yes, I was in a funk. I was on keto and then I came off keto shortly before Christmas. And that gave me something to sort of think about. I didn't want to do another sort of diet plan or anything like that. I just didn't want to do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to have to think about anything and I didn't want to have to do another diet that's just going to make me miserable and and stuff like that. So basically there was just no motivation to do anything. And, it's been really hard trying to sort of muster up any kind of energy for anything. I tell myself, all right, go for a walk every single day. Like, no matter what, just go outside and get fresh air. I do walk most days, but not every day, because the weather's quite crap. And I'm not even making excuses. Like, this is the truth. Like, the weather is awful. And even though I don't mind it for myself, but when I'm with my son, it's like, no, we're not going out in this because there's just no point. So I just kind of feel like this one is hitting a lot more different for those sorts of factors. Like, it came out of nowhere. The weather's rubbish. It's like the fourth or fifth time now where I'm so tired and I'm completely over it. It's a lot more draining this time. I'm now like nocturnal to the point where it's like it's just the only way that it's going to be fixed is if I'm working. I can try and set alarms for myself to wake up and whatever, but when I don't have that drive, when I don't have anything to do, essentially, I'm not going to get up. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just completely nocturnal, like to the point where I'm up all night. I'm recording this episode at like 1 a.m. because this is like the time where I'm actually the most active, like I'm the most alert, and I'm gonna stay up all the way through to the morning. I'm gonna take my son to nursery and come back, and then I'm probably gonna be sort of tired and ready to sleep at about 10, 11 a.m. That's literally my bedtime. That's my nighttime. And then I have to set an alarm because I can only sleep for a certain amount of hours before I have to go pick up my son from nursery. So, and this has been going on, this nocturnal stuff has been going on for about 3 weeks now. And it's annoying. It's very annoying because I'm tired all day. Days where he's not at nursery and he's at home are the hardest because it's like I can't sleep. So I will sort of drop off every so often for like 20, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, and then be up because I hear a noise or I just can't rest. Like, he jumps on me and stuff like that. And even on those days, I'm up all night. It's like after I put him to bed, I'm completely wiped and I'll go to sleep at, let's say, 8:39. And then I will wake up naturally at around 12:30, 1 a.m. And that's my body just telling me, it's time to wake up. It's morning. And then I'm up all night. So it's just been this cycle for the past 3 weeks and it's ridiculous. Very annoying, but that this lockdown is just messing with me a little bit. And I do feel like I have the lockdown blues. But it's literally because I just feel like I don't have anything to do. But at the same time, I have a lot to do. So it's just trying to channel my energy positively and sort of get on with things that I actually do need to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at a potential career change. I'm looking at, just doing more of my podcast. I'm looking to start even a new one with someone, and just sort of build on some of these personal projects that I've got going on. If there's any time to do it, it's now. And I know that. But it's just getting that just that energy back that I'm struggling with. I picked up a couple of books, which have just been sort of sat on my bedside unread. But I have listened to a few more audiobooks. There's times when I'm up obviously all night and with nothing to do. I'm not in the mood to sort of been scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or anything like that. So I just listen to like podcasts and I listen to audiobooks. And those are really great. That they help pass time and things like that. So I try to use my time as best as I can during the night. But during the day, I'm just too tired. I'm too tired to do anything. And that's what makes me feel so unproductive. That's what makes me feel quite lazy. That's what makes me feel like, so unmotivated, because I am sort of tired throughout the day, but I'm active all throughout the night. So that's lockdown blues for you. It's not pretty. It's not easy. I know that a lot of us are going through it, and I do see it through some people sort of mentioning it on their platforms or mentioning it on social media that they're really going through it. And we're all in this together. I don't really like that phrase, but it kind of is true. Again, working in hospitality, there is no telling when we're going to be able to open and trade. There's literally no telling. If we watch the news, if we read the papers and stuff like that, we're not on top. We're not on top on the priority list at all. Do you know what I mean? You know, they need to get the schools back. They need to open up retail. They need to see how those things go for a while before phasing in something else. Yeah, so we just all need to do our bit. I mean, I recently took the vaccine, and that was a funny one. Like, as you guys know, you know, I'm classified as a vulnerable person because of my medical history. And, you know, like I've mentioned before on previous episodes, you know, the letters that you get, emails, texts, stay at home, shield, blah, 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 blah. They also contribute towards, you know, feeling like, oh my gosh, I cannot do anything with my life. They just don't want me to do anything. They don't want me to go anywhere. And it can get a bit much. So when the whole rollout for the vaccine came out, it's like, okay, you know I'm going to be in one of those sort of priority lists to be one of the first to get it. So I got a text. I got a random text. I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday afternoon. I don't know. And when the text came through, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, like, okay, so moving backwards, yeah. Initially, I was like, nah, don't come nowhere near me with no vaccine. I'm not taking no vaccine. Nah, I'm good. Yeah. Use someone else as your guinea pig and I'll see how they get on before I even consider it. But it's never happening. That was my thought process in the beginning. And it was like that mainly because of my mistrust for the government. I was not about to take nothing that these people recommend. These people, how they've handled the pandemic, it's just been so poor. Their decision making has been so poor. They ignore advice. They make the worst of the wrongest judgment, or like they have just handled it. It's to this point beyond a joke. Where this thing even started, they're living life like normal. And it didn't even take them that long to get to that point. Why are we all talk about new strain, new variant, new this, new that, South Africa this, South Africa that? Are you all right? Like, what's going on? So initially I was like, I don't trust anything these people are about to give me. Yeah. Number one, you produced that too quickly. Yeah. Too quick. Like, what's going on there? Like, nah. I ain't trusting something you came up with in a couple of months that will even kill everyone in this global pandemic. It's never happening. I just didn't trust it. And I didn't want to know. I didn't care. So initially, I ignored the news. I ignored everything. I didn't care. I just knew I was not taking it. So fast forward now, it's like, okay, Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse. And, you know, the rooms where they were talking about COVID-19, talking about the vaccine, that were held by, you know, experienced, like, doctors, people who actually were working on the vaccine, people who have been in this industry for however many years, the scientists. And not only that, the majority of them were black or of a different ethnic minority. So I'm more likely to listen to them than I am, you know, their white counterparts, if I'm being honest. So on Clubhouse, there were several rooms that went on about sort of the COVID-19 vaccine and, you know, and the process and everything. And these rooms will go on for hours and hours on end. And I would be in them rooms listening. And, you know, I think that was where my decision to sort of open my mind up to it a bit more was tipped, was in those rooms, listening to the things that they say in detail, answering the questions that we had in detail, you know, letting us know what the data shows about this and the data shows about that. I was listening with an open mind, and this then made me do my own research. So I went to research all the different types of vaccinations that have been approved, when they were approved, what's in them, where they're produced, and things like that. And then I'll go back into the sort of Clubhouse rooms, and I'll be a little bit more educated on what is being spoken about. So I know I did my due diligence in researching this vaccination, because I wasn't just going to take it all willingly just because the government said, yeah, it's ready. Yeah, this is what's going to cure us. No. Do you know what I mean? So, after some discussions and some reading, I decided, you know what? When it's offered to me, I'm going to take it. I want to take it. Now, I wanted to take the mRNA vaccines as opposed to the AstraZeneca one. That was the one, those were the ones. So either Pfizer or Moderna were the only ones I was interested in. But for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to take it. And I'm quite good with that decision. No one's going to sway me otherwise. Anyone I told, it seemed like the majority of people that I told, that I said, yeah, I'm going to take the vaccine. You know, some people just blatantly was like, no, don't do it. No. Like, and just doing the most. And I'd be like, oh, why? Like, what's going on? Like, what? They had nothing to say. Like, you know, it just came out of just how I sort of thought about it in the beginning. You know, not having done no education, having, you know, no real information about them, just saying no. So I would laugh them off and just be like, I'm taking it and let that be that. Okay, when you get like a third eye, when you start growing leaves out of your arm, don't come to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was ridiculous. And then there's some people who, you know, I mentioned it to, and they were like, and they would send me a few things to read. Check this out. Before you do it, check this out. Before you do it, read this. Before you do it, read. And I actually really appreciated that, because it's like, you know, yes, I can tell that they're not happy with my decision to take it, but they're showing me their reasons why. And they're telling me to read certain papers and certain articles. And I did. I actually really did. But my mind was not changed. So yeah, you know, I felt confident in my decision, you know, just based on the research that I did for myself. So I was offered an appointment at the hospital, and then a day later my GP calls me and offers me an appointment as well. When my GP called, they said, yeah, you know, we want to invite you to do the vaccine in literally like 2 days or whatever. So I said, okay, cool. What vaccine is it? Which one is it? She puts me on hold. She comes back and tells me AstraZeneca. And then I was like, okay, book the appointment. Then I contacted the hospital that initially texted me, and I asked them, what vaccine is it? They said it's Pfizer. I said, cool, book the appointment. I called my GP straight. I said, cancel my appointment because I'm least comfortable with the AstraZeneca vaccine and I'd rather not. And so I decided to go to the hospital to take the Pfizer one. I definitely wanted the mRNA vaccine. And that was that. So when I got there, they were it wasn't too busy. It seemed pretty organized. And I was there for an hour, you know, and once you do take the vaccine, they ask you a whole series of questions before actually giving you the injection. And then once they give you the injection, you have to sit down in recovery for 15 minutes, just in a separate room, just so that they can monitor you for the first 15 minutes and then you go. So I was there for about just under an hour, which wasn't too bad. And, you know, before you leave, you book your second appointment for the second dose. And yeah, you know, I've had no symptoms after taking the injection. I had felt no symptoms whatsoever. It's just my arm was hurting me, obviously due to the injection being put into like a muscle. So of course your arm's going to hurt. Just like if you was to take a flu jab, your arm will be hurting for a couple of days. So, and that was it. I was not fatigued. I was not, you know, I didn't have any cold or flu symptoms. Nothing. There's nothing that I felt, you know, that I kind of felt was a result of the vaccination, which was great. You know, I had planned on being in bed for the next couple of days after, because I thought I was going to get sick. After my flu jab, I kept getting colds. I just kept getting colds. Like I would get over a cold. A week later, I would get another cold. A week later, I'll get another cold. And that happened for about 6 weeks when I had the flu jab. So I kind of thought a similar thing would happen this time. But it's been... when did I do the vaccine? From now, about 5 days now, and yeah, I feel great. I feel no different. So yeah, I'm officially vaccinated. Well, to a certain degree, I still need to take my second dose. But this doesn't mean that I'm going to be running street without a mask, running street, touching things, meeting people. No. Do you know what I mean? I'm very much aware that this just helps prevent COVID sort of taking its course and doing a badness. Like, I understand that it's not like a cure, but just more like a prevention type of thing. But I'm not just going to be running street acting as if I'm immune to everything. And no. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am still moving very responsibly, and I am still just very much staying at home. So to those who are thinking about taking the vaccine, definitely just do your own research. Do your own. Don't be so heavily influenced by what other people think, especially people who haven't done any research. They're just scaremongering at this point. Do your own research, and you'll feel comfortable knowing that you chose to do it or chose not to do it based on what you came up with. And that's great. So, yeah, I mean, I wanted to sort of touch on the fact that Dr. Alex George from Love Island is now working for the government as a mental health advisor. Well, Boris Johnson said a youth mental health advisor or ambassador. I initially was like, okay, this is great. This is great. And then I stopped to thinking, I was like, okay, is he qualified? Like, I didn't know he was a mental health doctor. I don't even think he is. But now I'm, I'm sort of umming and ahhing a bit. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a great post for him. I think this is a massive deal for him, and I really want to sort of see, how he does with this, where he goes with this, what tools he's going to put in place. I really want to see where this goes. I'm definitely going to track this and see how he gets on, because I think it's a great thing. Mental health especially is going to be through the roof because of all these lockdowns and not knowing whether you're coming or going. A lot of people's education will be massively affected and things like that, and their choices, what they want to do and things like that. Some people have lost loved ones. Some people are seeing people just sick all the time. This is gonna take a toll on everybody. So I'm interested to see what this position does for him. What tools he's going to put in place in order to help with the world's or the UK's mental health crisis. One thing that he did say was mental health, it could be seen as a positive thing. Everybody has mental health. We have to stop talking about it in always such this negative light, and shed some light on some positive things about mental health. And I really liked when he said that. That's actually very, very true. When we hear about mental health, when we talk about mental health, it is always in a negative light. That is like the main. That's when people mainly start talking about it, when people are displaying issues with their mental health. But there is a different side to it, and yes, I'm intrigued, and congratulations to him. That's amazing. That's awesome, and I definitely want to see where this goes. I definitely want him to make a lot of noise. I definitely want him to be very confident and bold in this position and decision making, and I hope it all works out. So thank you guys for hearing me rant on. I hope you did enjoy this very open and honest episode about how lockdown is going for me. It's not very great. It's really not good. And I shall keep you posted. Please leave a review if you can on Apple Podcasts. I'd really appreciate it if you do that for me. And I look forward to being back for another episode. Take care, guys. Bye.